Didn't I hear Marquette Henderson?
Do I hear Marquette?
I heard his voice.
Okay, right now I have Miss Bolden, Miss Brooks. Who else?
Jelani Smith.
Abimi Sola Kiridulali.
Okay, is that it? Yeah, it's double.
Ms. Monroe?
Yes.
Hello. It was some issues with the Zoom ID number, so I gave the right number, or I think the right number. I called in to Jessie, so she's probably trying to call in.
Gave her the right number. We gave her the right number.
Okay, appreciative of that information being forwarded. I only know, whatever comes out on the Zoom stuff. So, okay, so we'll give it 2 more minutes and then we'll get started because looks like we have a full packed schedule and I do have a hard stop at noon today. So 2 more minutes. I don't see anybody else out here in the waiting room, so. Oh, it looks like Mr. Cruz is on. He didn't say his name or anything, but I'm looking at the. I admitted him. Oh, okay, good. All right, so right now I'm seeing Mr. Cruz, Miss Brooks, and Miss Bolden.
I have Mr. Way on my phone.
You have who?
Okay, because I thought
Jessie Petaway.
Okay.
I tried to do the one, and it's not allowing me to do the one tap. And LaShawn is on another line trying to get in too. Hazel, what number did you dial so I can call, maybe do LaShawn?
I'm back, you guys. I had to
I'm
hang
here.
up 'cause
Oh, she's there. There she goes.
I had a bad connection.
Who's
Okay.
speaking, please?
This is Marquette. I had to hang up because I had a very poor connection and I had to call back in to get a better connection.
Okay, thank you.
And this is Jessie Brooks. LaShawn is on another line trying to get in because she was trying to help me get in.
No,
But
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, you're here? Okay.
Okay, that's great. It seems like everybody is on. So like I was saying, we have a pretty tight agenda and I do have a hard stop at noon. So just doing the math, I think you guys presented like 6 different agenda items, and so that's like about 10 minutes each. So if there are no objections, I'm just going to go down the line that you presented. So the first one was, it says SLA notifying the PNT and the BVC committee about placing any vendor in a facility, especially when said vendor has had previous problems. So could someone explain this?
Well, I will. I think that we did not know that Mr. Stevenson was appointed over at the coffee shop. And he had problems in the past. I don't know about now. But whenever there's a vendor going in any facility, the P&T committee especially is supposed to be notified in the BVC and get the okay for that vendor to go into that facility from the PT committee. has to give that okay. And so far, people are going in places and we don't know anything about it. We find out it from someone else. So PT don't even know about it. The PT committee finds out about it from someone else in passing, another vendor or something. So that's what that agenda is.
So I could
Okay.
speak on that, because back in May, I believe, I reached out to the BVC, with some assistance because Mr. Patton was, initially was considering exiting the location. Somehow we managed, I guess you guys talked to him behind the scenes and he decided to, remain at the location. However, he gave a 2-week notice not too long after that decision was made to vacate the coffee shop. Because he vacated the coffee shop, trying to get assistance from the BBC, we had no other choice but to try to streamline the services because we had a service obligation to DOL to determine who who can operate that location. I reached out. I spoke to Miss Jessie. I spoke to a few of you guys regarding the matter. We spoke to Barwin. There was a couple of recommendations of talking to Barwin. I reached out to Mr. Hamid on to try to get it. So I reached out to a couple people to try to get this service obligation dealt with. But there was
Well,
no.
Mr. Hamid is not on the committee.
But you
Um,
guys didn't provide any solutions for us also when I did reach out to you guys.
well, I don't know who you talked to. I don't know. I thought P&T said they did not know it either. So their P&T chair is here. She can speak.
Hello, this is LaShawn. How y'all doing today?
Hi. Hello.
Well, I received the email, but it was with the BBC on it saying that y'all needed somebody for the coffee shop from Miss Kern, and I figured it was settled, but I guess it wasn't, because y'all came back and said that y'all were going to look for a vendor to go in because we couldn't find anyone. So that's the last I've heard of it. So nobody notified me after that and said, hey, we found somebody.
Well, I will take that that I didn't notify that it was that I did determine after the 3 vendors I vetted that we ended up going with Mr. Stevenson. So I will take that.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Thank you.
okay, so this is just an example of strengthening the communication amongst the parties, but it does sound like the initial steps were undertaken. So thank you for bringing
I
that to light.
well,
And
I have something else I would like to add to that, and it is there is a GSA location that we found out that was given to a vendor without the P&T knowing anything about it. Could you guys speak on that, GSA?
And I think what we found out was that this vendor, this GSA is not, it was not supposed to be added onto this vendor's facility.
What location are you guys referring to? I'm sorry.
GSA.
No, I mean what building?
We understood it's attached to the
HUD department.
HUD. It's attached to HUD. And why? The PT committee know nothing about it, or the BVC. Why was that attached to HUD? And it's not even near her place. It's a little ways away.
Marie, they are across the street from one another, but there's 2 different agencies. The buildings are not attached.
Okay.
Can we, excuse me, I meant to, my phone was muted. I meant to back up for a second. What happened to, this is the same thing about the coffee shop at Mr. Patton's location. What happened to the inventory over there? Because the employees said that they could take the inventory home and do whatever they wanted with it because no one reached out to the vendors to let them know if that inventory was available to us, if it was just given away.
I'm sorry,
That's
I'm
the
just
labor
confused.
department
What was your
you're talking
question?
about. We didn't even know that labor department
Okay,
had closed down either.
No, that's the same thing with Mr. Patton's location, that the employees over there, Jackie and her daughter Nikki, said that you guys, well, you, Mr. Smith, gave them all of the inventory, and they took a bunch of the inventory
That
home.
I gave them
So,
all of the inventory?
yes, that's what they said.
I have no
So,
control
but
over
I'm
Mr.
asking, what
Patton's
happened to
inventory.
his inventory, though? What happened to his inventory?
Mr. Patton and his manager, Nikki discussed his inventory. I have no idea what they talked about or what they done with his inventory. Before he gave me the key, again, this was another location that Mr. Patton decided he just said he was no longer going to operate, and gave it at the end of August that he was no longer operating this location, and returned the key. After Nico and they cleaned out the location and did whatever they did, that's what happened.
So they were responsible for the inventory, or the SLA?
Mr. Patton's responsible for his own inventory. SLA's not responsible
No,
for his
the
inventory.
agency was supposed to inventory any vendor out when they ending inventory. That's
You're
called
correct,
ending
but you're
inventory.
correct. But if he decided to take all of his inventory, one, there was no inventory. Let's make sure we understand that. There was absolutely bare minimum inventory. So if he decided to take his inventory or have his staff take their inventory, that's on them. That's
So
not
he owes
LA's
for his
responsibility.
ending inventory. He owes the agency for money for his ending inventory.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
we all got $4,800 when we opened back up, and we were all supposed to pay that $4,800 back in inventory or money.
So yes, if there's no inventory in the location, that means he owed the agency inventory, or the agency money for inventory.
He owes that money, that $4,800, because he didn't have any inventory, or even if he kept his inventory, he owes that to the agency.
Yes, ma'am.
And I wanted to ask another thing about the coffee shop. Did the agency give Mr. Stevenson any support, like buying his inventory or
Yes, the agency purchased
paying for his
the
payroll
agency
or
purchased
anything like that?
no payroll. The agency just purchased the initial stock for the coffee shop.
Mm-hmm. See, those are the things that it should be brought before the promotion and transfer committee in the BVC before they're done, talked over before, so that we will know. Now, we got another facility that's closed down. All of our facilities seems to be getting closed down. So, and we
And
don't
by the
know
way,
anything
the fourth floor won't be reopening either. That was the decision that was made by the building.
I didn't quite understand you, Jelani.
The fourth floor, matter of fact, Ms. Sharon, I don't know if you want to speak on that, but the fourth floor location will no longer be a Randolph Shepherd location. So in Department of Labor, it will only be the sixth floor and the coffee shop.
Mm-hmm. Why
Okay.
they don't want Randolph Shepherd in anymore, or what?
They don't want
Next
they
year.
don't feel the need to have the fourth floor location.
Oh, okay. So we done lost another one. Okay.
We still haven't spoken on how GSA got to be put on with the HUD. And I understand it's across the street, but it's also the main department, the main building of GSA is across the street from some other locations. I don't understand that logic just because one of the GSA branches is across the street from HUD. So you added that on to her
location.
add that on to her location, and no one's speaking on it. We weren't notified, or we didn't get any kind of notification at all that this was being done. A lot of transactions are being done without the P&T knowledge or the BVC.
Okay, well, Point taken, and we'll try to follow up as these things occur in real time. I'm still a little bit in the dark about the HUD situation myself, so after the call, I'll get with the program monitors and we can flush that out. But I hear what you're conveying, and we will proceed as noted.
Please, please, Ms. Van Roche, this is Jesse Brooks speaking, because you weren't around, but I was not allowed to combine two locations in the same building when I was in. But arbitrarily, some people now get the opportunity to combine locations that are not in their building, not associated with their building and everything, because they're liked by certain people. And it's wrong. It's like it's two sets of rules. And that is so wrong. That is so wrong.
Okay, so
So
the
please
issue
address it.
yes, so the issue at hand is how sites are being combined as one. So I don't want to just look at it with a Band-Aid approach by looking at one incident, but I want to look at it in totality. So how do we combine
Thank you.
location?
Well, I think Ms. Von Roach is not a thing as this one incident. We're trying to keep this from happening the next time around. I mean, it should never have happened the first place.
And it should be undone. It should be undone.
Undone, because it shouldn't be. And the analysts who did it know better. They know they shouldn't have done that. So this is not just one coincidence. We're trying to prevent this from happening, and we just want to try to make sure all of us vendors are treated equally by the analysts and the agency too.
Okay. All right.
Okay, this was Sean. I want to speak on the Department of Labor real quick. So the reason that Mr. Patton gave up Department of Labor because we had the call down, and he won Commerce as his primary. So he relinquished it, let y'all know that, hey, I don't want this anymore. I'm going over to the Commerce. Now he's just almost like a displaced vendor. So he's just sitting and waiting to go into the Commerce as his primary. That's why he sent the email about relinquishing DOL.
Okay, thank you for the further clarification. Item number C. Item number C, the confidentiality of information and the Privacy Act not being practiced by the SLA. Could someone elaborate on that, please?
Well, I will. This has been going on for a long time. And as you said, Ms. Von Roach, these things happened since before you even got here. So there is no confidentiality. You could come to the SLA and tell the SLA something private, rather it's about illness or whatever, and it gets out to the other vendors. It just seemed to us that, and it does happen a lot. I would not come to the agency and tell anything that I wouldn't want known, because I know it will get out. And also, we wanted to make sure that analysts or anyone is not going around talking to other vendors about other vendors. Anything that a vendor has or whatever, that's confidential. And analysts should not go and talk to another vendor or tell them about another vendor or their personal business or work business or whatever. That is what we were talking about there.
Okay.
And that does happen a lot.
Okay. And I can appreciate that. And you are correct in that statement. Whatever is shared with the SLA, and I have to put one caveat in here though, because, from the legal standpoint, if it's something that needs to be shared in the midst of resolving what's the word I want to say, a grievance or something like that, then information can be pulled. But, other things, no. And I've already had the discussion before I even knew what this was all about, but with the program monitors that, whatever information that they are obtaining from the people that they support, i.e. you, should remain between, the two of you. So
Yeah.
I'm in support of what you're saying. And again, I know I sound like
Because
a
there's
broken
such a
record.
thing as the Privacy Act
Yes,
law.
yes. Does anybody else want to comment on that? And I will throw this out here too, because this goes from either side. I'm trying to choose my words carefully. I mean, I lead by example. There was a situation where someone was placed on corrective action, but yet the BVC wanted to have a meeting, and I refused, and all of you will recall this. I refused to talk about that person because they weren't present. But then you all said, no, we already know about it. Then that's when I proceeded to do that. So I just wanted to give you an example of, I take what you're saying very seriously, and proceeding, I want to hear from either end, like if you actually, can pinpoint something that a monitor has said or shared, please let me know. Same thing with the monitors, which I've already talked to them about. If they're finding out that you're sharing information that you shouldn't be sharing, they need to let me know too. So it's not like a one side of a coin, but I appreciate you bringing that up. Okay.
Ms. Von Rose, I want to speak to that issue, the same situation. The BBC with that particular vendor had said, since that vendor has an attorney, that you violated that person's due process by having a meeting without them present. So in the near future, going forward, you can't violate somebody's privacy like that and not allow them to be present in a meeting that is discussed with them. And the BBC said to you that that person had an attorney, and you refused to have that person enter into the meeting.
Enter into which meeting? Are you talking about the hearings? Or are you talking about this BVC meeting?
No, I'm not talking about the hearing. I'm talking about the BBC meeting.
Okay. Noted. Thank you. All right, item number D, on our ongoing problems with our vending commissions. And I'm just thinking about what you just said, because this really puts everybody in an awkward situation. So when there are performance issues, and just looking at the guidelines and everything, at some point that does have to be brought to the BVC and the P&T. So you can't say that that's out of honoring privacy, because you have to talk with everybody in order to decide what's going on. So, or actually to talk about.
That's not entirely true. That's not entirely true. That is not. If someone has legal representation, you can't have a meeting without that person and that person's attorney present.
Okay.
Well, I think what happens is too, committee, if a vendor's having a problem or something, then that vendor should be called before the committee in the SLA, discuss their problems, what's going on, see what we could help them in any way. Actually, when any vendor has a problem, they are supposed to be brought before the BVC and the SLA and talk to that vendor before you even put them on corrective actions.
And to that point, and I really don't want to get in a back and forth, because again, some of this stuff has happened before me. I was instructed that did occur. But anyway, all discussion is noted, and we all understand how to proceed from here. And again, thank you for bringing that up. So the next item is our ongoing problems with our vending commissions and pension not being processed on time. So I'll just begin this. I know that this has been an ongoing saga, but the problem is this is out of my purview, and I can only repeat what you've already heard from operations. And I don't know, by me saying that again, is that going to change the situation in any way?
Ms. Van Rose, this is Jessie. May I say something?
Sure.
Okay, with that going on, if the vendor, some vendors who may not have the funds to send in their levy on time, would that affect them because they are maybe waiting for that transaction to come through? Would that affect them? Some vendors, I don't know who, but I'm just putting an example out there.
Yeah. From what I've been told, and again, I will double check on this, but everybody's expected to send their levy in at the scheduled time, that the exceptions were done away with, and I think this was like right before I came on board. So based on that, everybody has to meet the deadlines.
Well, Ms. Van Roe, this is Marie Bolden. I don't feel that I should send any money in on something I hadn't received. I mean, I get back what my levy will be on my P&L sheet, but I don't see paying money on something that I have not yet received. Now, I am one. I only send my levy in when I receive that check, but I'm not always placed in my account. I don't feel I want to send money in on something that I have not gotten. So I think that's a kind of a problem here, because I may not ever get that money, but I done paid a levy on it.
I can understand your concern, and I'm writing down the notes, but again, this is out of my purview, so I can just collect the information and pass it on to the parties that actually deal with this.
And one thing I would say, a lot of us have, we use that money to buy inventory and stuff for the store. We do, because we're not making, I know that some in my building, people are coming back now. But some was before, I had to use that money when I get my vending commission to buy inventory.
Okay.
And I like to add to that, when I buy from Century, I'm on a net 7. So if I purchase the inventory on Friday, then by the following Friday, I have to pay. If I don't pay, then I get the insufficient funds in my bank account because the money is not there. If I'm always expected to send my profit and loss report in by the 6th work day of the first of the month, then why can't I expect my money to be in my account so that I can, I'm still in post-COVID. I'm still working with a third of the building. And so why can't I expect, if you guys can always penalize or get on us for not having our profit and loss turned in, then why can't we or somebody on you guys' side be gotten on because our money is not being put, it's not the worksheets or the, the reports and the commission reports and the statements are not being produced and given to us in a reasonable amount of time. I know they're supposed to have a certain time they're supposed to be done. They're not done in a certain time. We don't get no real reasons for why. You guys are just working on it, and that's kind of sometimes all we get. And there's no excuse. If our commissions, as we understand it, comes from vending machines to you guys, and you guys do the paperwork and send it to CFO, and CFO relates it to the bank. Why are you guys so far behind sometimes? Every year, like right now, our commissions and our unassigned are sometimes 30 days behind schedule. And you guys
And
won't
this,
even give us any reasonable reason for why it's occurring, and we got bills to pay. But when you come in our locations, like you said, you're going to start going in people's locations. If you find that their shelves are light or their refrigerators are light, and there's not very much because you guys pay us our commissions 30 days behind schedule, and we use that money to help us stay afloat, especially if our cross-the-counter sales are below par. So you guys are putting us in a pretty bad situation sometimes, and you guys don't pay for our insufficient funds and things, or explain anything to our vendors that are selling us their products. We have to deal with that unnecessarily, and you guys just keep on moving straight on ahead and don't give us any consideration at all. That's all.
Thank you for
This is
expressing your concerns.
this, this is LaShawn. So I have the policy where Mr. Daryl Evans sent me saying that you have to have your P&L in by the 6th business day, and you will receive your commission by the 15th business day. So, I mean, I can send it to you if you would like to see it. So if we're getting our vendor commission a month or two, I'm just getting my August commission yesterday. Or was it today? Yesterday. So if I'm held to turn my information in on time, but I'm not getting my money on time, who evaluates those people? Because you can evaluate me if I didn't get my vendor commission on time and then I didn't pay my levy on time because I didn't get it. My money that comes from the kiosk goes towards getting my products and things like that. But if I'm short on getting my products, short on money, then I use my vendor commission to get those type of things.
Okay.
So somebody needs to be evaluated on that end as well.
Okay.
and this is Jessica Petaway. May I say something? I recall a while back this came up, and the person, Billy Roof, was still with us. And they moved it where we had until the end of the month to pay the levy. Is that still in effect?
I have no idea. I'll have to go back and try to,
She brought up some of
dig
these same points back
Okay.
then.
Let me ask Jelani or Caleb, do the two of you recall anything like that, changing the date to the 30th?
Yes,
Yes.
is at the end of the month. Like initially it was, I've forgotten what it was, but to give enough time for vendors to prepare their reports and send it in and things of that nature, we moved it to the end of the month.
Okay, so if you're all speaking of it verbally, was there something in writing? Can
It was in
someone,
writing. It was in writing that was sent. It wasn't an email that was sent out to all the vendors at that time. As far as the year, I cannot pinpoint it, but it is still it's still standing that all levies must be paid by the end of the month.
okay, so here's the dilemma that, I keep running into. There's
Okay.
this talk that occurred, or there may have been previous documentation, but the bottom line is if it wasn't signed and approved by the approving officials, then it doesn't count.
All right. That's fine.
So
So
may I say something? So when should the levy be in?
right now, by the 6th.
Oh,
The
no.
6th? Oh, no, we can't
Not,
do that.
not the
No,
levy. You're
not
talking
the
about
report,
the,
yes.
Report being by the 6th.
She means the
Right.
report in by the 6th.
Yes.
Yeah, levy was never 6.
Yeah.
Yes, the levy, the report should be in by the 6th business day.
And you guys
the
think,
Yeah.
profit and
when is
loss
the
report.
levy supposed to be in? Was
The
it?
levy, I believe, was on, I've forgotten, the 21st or something of that
That's
nature.
what
Yeah.
I thought too, yeah.
It was in by the 30th of the month. Have to be in before the end of the month. The
Okay.
levy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll go back and I'll check on that, the due date of the levy. It's between the 21st or the.
Hey, Ms. Von Roach, I had one quick question. You said something would be approved by, what is it, some authority or something? Something you just said, I'm sorry. Who would that body be that's approving, the discussion, just like we said about Mr. Evans sending that out, telling us when we should have our report in and what time that they're gonna, have the levy paid by the end of the month. So who would be approving
Yeah.
that? Is that a joint decision by the SLA and the BVC, or is there some other authority that would approve that? Do you know where that approval is gonna come from?
Right now, what I've been party to is that, because this would be like and I'm not gonna say this right, like a policy change. And so policy changes have to be vetted through our legal, and then if they're viewed okay, then it would have to be either Daryl's replacement or Andy to approve it.
Oh, no. You got to approve policy changes by the Department of Education.
That's regulations.
No, Mr. Smith said it right in the meeting when we were there the other day, and that's what it's been always, that any change of the policy or policy may have to go through the Department of Education. Yeah, I know Mr. Reese said that it didn't,
Yes.
but, it have to go, Mr. Smith said it right there in front of us twice. And I know that's ever since I've known, it have to be approved by the Department of Education. I know you approve the regs, but also policy and procedure. They have a policy and procedure over there on record, Department of Education. So I'm going to get that. Hopefully we can get it soon.
One other comment I'd like to make, the agency and perhaps some vendors, down through the years, just like they always would talk about best practices and what they used as precedents before they got to some of these things. And I think a lot of that has to be sorted out, because we've done some things that we've done in best practice, and it's not necessarily a rule, regulation, or anything like that. And I think that is one of the things that we're dealing with now. Have to deal with best practices and what's actually written down. So they've had a lot of best practices that they've been doing. One of them that we're currently dealing with is calling down the satellites every 2 years. I'm not going to go into that, but I'm just saying we need to look at what they've set as precedents and what they've set as best practices and be able together to sort through that.
I agree with your statement. And, that's part of our charter going forward, the meetup in January for, to come up with a framework on how to proceed with, what really should be out there that provides the guidance for us. And I'm just going to say this because although, whomever it comes from, everybody is not going to agree on everything all the time. And so you just have to keep that in the back of your mind to keep it moving forward. If it's not 100% on this one item, maybe it's 100% on another, but not to hold the show up just because things aren't the way either side envisions it, but it has to be the best for the program. And I know you all have said that in the past too, so I'm just echoing that. Okay. All right, so out of this, I need to confirm the levy date, and I will just pass along this other stuff that you have been bringing up to operations, because again, this is out of my purview. All right,
Hey,
then,
Ms. Van Roach, I just want to ask one question. Once you get all of this sorted out, could you please make sure all the vendors get a copy and know what's going on? All vendors will get, whatever you get and put in, so that everyone will know what they're supposed to do, all vendors.
okay, and that's actually a great segue into item number E, where you've stated, when is the VAL meeting scheduled? We've had several vendors who want to know when this is going to happen. Okay,
Yeah.
so reading over all of the stuff that I've been privy to, and I know it's fundamental that the vendors at large basically, elected you all being the BVC, to represent them. And so you would think that the meetings that the SLA and the BVC have, whatever information that is exchanged, that it would be incumbent upon the BVC to share that information with the vendors at large, because if not, then I'm just wondering what should or should
True.
not be going on. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, if this meeting does commence, what would I be talking about that I hadn't already talked with the BVC, who was, in
I think
line to share that information with the vendors at large?
Oh, we do. We send out reports to the vendors. We send out reports to the vendors of what we talk about.
Exactly, about what we talk
whatever.
about in these meetings.
Yeah,
we
we
already do that.
Great, that's
But
great.
may I say something? A lot of times vendors at large have questions they want to ask that we may not know about. And that's a good time for them to give their feedback and everybody to participate, to hear what everybody feels.
Okay,
That's one reason I believe the agency called the meetings vendors at large, that everyone could come together
okay,
and
okay,
express what they want.
okay.
I think currently the vendors at large would like for you, Ms. Von Roche, probably to introduce yourself to them. And that's what's happened in the past, that they've always had vendors at large meetings, where the SLA makes themselves available for questioning or just, just to share information.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they just want to meet you, talk to you. I mean, I don't think they want to discuss any rules and all this. They just want to hear something from you, a word from you as the new program manager.
Okay, that's easy enough. So let me try to get something together for the month of November, and that's, before all of the holidays kick in and stuff like that. And yeah, I need to figure out the venue, whether it should be through Zoom or in person.
Zoom. Oh, it's too many of us.
Well, I think the capability for Zoom is pretty large, so I think that would be fine. But I will definitely get something set up for November.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
May I say one more thing, Ms. Van Roach?
Yes.
I understand from one of our vendors here that he gets a statement telling him how much his unassigned is. And we used to get that, from Caleb when he was sending out. We no longer get that. Is there any way we can get that so we can keep a better record of what's going in our account and where is it coming from? Because a lot of times if money is just being put into the account and we don't know where it's being coming from, we don't know how to tax that money. So Caleb would always send out a statement stating unassigned is coming in so-and-so time, the amount is. Can we, all the vendors, get some kind of statement to that effect?
Thank you for bringing that up. As you know, that's not Caleb's responsibility anymore. That is again with operations. So I will forward this request on to them.
Okay.
Excuse me, Marquette, could you verify where you're getting yours from, please?
I don't know where I get it from. I just know that I get a report every month concerning my commissions or quarterly unassigned. So I'll get a report, and then maybe a few weeks later, I'll get a statement. And shortly after that statement, maybe a week, then I'll get something from noreply.dc.com that I guess comes from CFO that says that it's been processed and it's on the way to the bank. I basically get those things every month.
Okay. Caleb, not to put you on the spot, but just to ask you the question, where does this sound like these reports are coming from?
It's not a report like I told operations when we're doing training. I said each time they process pension, an email should go out to all the vendors saying a pension distribution in the amount of whatever dollars is being processed. Please allow 7 to 15 business days for completion. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I'll pass this information back to them again, since Caleb had already instructed them. But, just to keep in mind that that's not in our bailiwick anymore. So the last item on here says earliest possible date to discuss our percentages and rates with third-party soda and snack distributor. This is a joint function with SLA and BVC. Okay. So here I am, once again, doing a little bit of backtracking here. The tax that you had been that was referenced saying that the blind vendors would quote unquote negotiate with the third party vending companies was interpreted incorrectly, and that should have never occurred. And so the negotiation, if you will, should have still remained with the SLA and the third-party vendors, third-party vending companies. So you all will not participate in any type of negotiation because it was interpreted incorrectly. I also want to say this, that the rates that have been agreed upon are rates that have served both parties in a satisfactory manner. So, and are in line with, let me get my documentation out here, are in line with the DCR volume 67, number 43. So just to reiterate, there will be no further negotiation.
Ms.
Ms. Von Roach.
Ms. Von Roach.
Can I answer?
Go ahead,
Go
Martha.
ahead. You go.
No, Ms. Von Roach, that is totally incorrect. We've always, the Finance Committee, the budgets have always been a part of that discussion. And the SLA is prohibited to enter into any kind of third-party agreement without the express cooperation from the BVC, and then also we send that information after it's processed and everything. We let the vendors know that that process is completed. As a matter of fact, the last 2 years, we've had BVC members, Mr. Hamid, Eunice Miles. She actually provided the template for the contract. So that's not true. I'm sorry, it's not.
And
What
Ms. Van Rose, I will say, this is Jessie again. I've been in the program over 50 years. We used to meet at Raymond Razor's place over there near the old post office with Coca-Cola and other vendors to discuss, percentage rates. I will say that, and I was involved in that. And this was years and years ago.
And we talked to Mr. Terry Smith just the other few days ago, and he said that the agency and the BVC supposed to work together and come up with these things, although we all know that the agency has the final say, but we work in coordination and not you guys working solo, discussing our money and how we supposed to agree on things. You guys are doing it, and we have no say. I think you may need to. You saying that the circular was read incorrectly. Well, then you guys need to read it correctly, and you guys need to present it to us correctly, and not leave us under the old false illusion that we were under. You're supposed to pull us up and let us know, okay, this is what it said in the past. That was incorrect. This is what it's saying now. This is the understanding. You said that you're a person that you deal with facts. Then give us the facts. And don't just tell us what you're telling us and expecting us to understand and believe when all our parents told us to respect what we see in print. So put it in print and let us know.
Yeah, I will send you the DCR, and you can see it for yourself. I think that's the best way to proceed. Instead of me trying to interpret something, you can read it for yourself and you can see it. So sure, I can do that without a problem.
Okay, thank you.
One last thing, I actually believe that I received this request from Mr. Henderson in regards to statute of limitations. So I actually received this. So please write this down. It's 29 DCMR, or either I'll just follow up with an email to you as well. Number 221. And basically what this statute of limitations is pointing to is the request for informal administrative review meeting notice timeliness. That's what it says. And I'll just read the first two sentences. It says, a request for an informal administrative review meeting must be submitted in writing within 10 business days of the licensing agency action with which the blind vendor is dissatisfied. So that's the crux and the premise for the statute of limitation. So since this was this call down situation occurred almost 3 years ago now, there should have been a filing of an administrative review to contest that 10 days on the onset. So that's your statute of limitation, and I will again send this to you as well.
Okay, Ms. Von Roach, if, going by what you just read, you said 10 days after what? Could you repeat that, please?
It says after the blind vendor was dissatisfied.
If you never respond to the grievance, I'm never dissatisfied until you do. So if it takes you 3 years to respond, then I can bring it up just like I did and ask for administrative review. And that's what I did. The judge accepted it, even though you're saying the statute of limitation was in process. But the judge didn't feel that way. So he accepted what I was saying, and basically I provided him with the proof. And it doesn't. You say you deal with facts.
That's
There's
what
no date. There's no date on no statute of limitation. No years. It doesn't say 2 years. It say you guys need to respond to us, and if we're dissatisfied, that this is what we do. Well, that's exactly what we did. You guys didn't do your part, and you kicked the can down the road and hid the can. So we had no knowledge of anything. So we're waiting. And me, myself, I just got in the program. I don't understand, and y'all don't teach us. I had to learn on my own. So through learning, I recognized that you guys said there's a statute of limitation. And after my research, I read, and I can send you that too, that says Randolph Shepherd has no statute of limitation.
Okay, well, again, this is interpretation, and I can only forward on to you what legal has forwarded on to me. And although, and this is just me aside, this is not anybody else, this is just me. If it says within 10 days of being dissatisfied, most people would think that wouldn't carry over year after year after year after year. I'm just
But if you
saying
don't respond to it, Ms.
I'm
Van
sorry,
Roos,
may I finish? I'd let you finish, sir. Okay, thank you. So I'm just saying
you
that,
ain't got to get so testy. Hey,
pardon
what's the
me?
attitude for? You ain't got to catch no attitude if I make a mistake. Yes, you can finish.
I don't have an
Marquette, calm down.
attitude. I was just showing you
Okay, thank
respect,
you.
and I expected the same. Now, if you
Yeah,
don't
well,
wanna,
you don't
if you
have to
don't
raise your
wanna
voice.
act in that
You don't have to
manner,
raise your voice.
sir,
Marquette, calm down,
Marquette,
Marquette,
please.
calm down, calm down.
I deserve respect too,
What,
consideration.
please, Marquette, please.
Marquette, let her speak. Let her
finish.
speak. Let her finish, please. Let her finish. Ms. Von Roach, can you proceed, please?
I'm done. I am. I'm done. We've got 1 minute before the meeting is over with. So the information that I found, I will most definitely send it out. And if there's nothing else, have a wonderful day.
Ms. Van Roach, I have one more question. The vendors who have gotten these facilities added on to their main one when they're not supposed to, will there anything be done about that? I mean, we got to stop what we've been doing. Some vendors getting everything, getting all that. I'm just asking you, we know some of the vendors who got these places. Why were they added on to their regular places when they're not even in the jurisdiction of their place? So I'll just, if you're going to look into that, please.
I will.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. We had a good meeting, though, Ms. Van Roach. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for the fruitful dialogue, and I know it's difficult for us to see each other's viewpoint, but I think if we respectfully remain to, honor each other's opinions, we'll get some work done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.